everybody. You're listening to the Big Chill Podcast. This is episode 531, Super Bowl Reaction. Give me that octopus. Hello, Big Chillians, and welcome back to the Big Chill Podcast. I'm Frank, joined as always with Eddie, who is alive and awake despite having to watch a Super Bowl that lasted probably until 4 in the morning.
Yeah, it was about 4:30 when it finished up, but no, I'm feeling surprisingly fresh today. And it's not the Super Bowl itself that was draining; it was just the full 4 days. Like Saturday was the most draining. With the 6 Nations.
Well, are you taking part of Media
Pretty
Day
much,
and
yeah.
everything? Is that what you're...
Pretty much. Feels like I played in about 3 Super Bowls based on... But yeah, I mean, Saturday was the longest day because I was out from the Chelsea-West Ham lunchtime kickoff in the Premier League. And so I left my house at 1 in the afternoon and got back to my house at 6:30 in the morning. So, yeah.
Wow.
And rare for me that it was a night that involved going to a place I'd never been to before. As someone who's very much a creature of habits, this was Babs, one of our favorite bartenders in Paris. When the night finished up at the bar where he works, he invited us to this African restaurant to eat. So we went at 3 in the morning to a restaurant that's open from 8 a.m. to 8 a.m. every day. You have to... there's no signs that there's a restaurant there. You have to ring the doorbell, and they have a camera, and they look at you and pay.
So it's to someone's house.
No, it's a restaurant, but they then decide whether or not, I guess, if you're too drunk or whatever, if they want to let you in. And so we had to stay there. Got let in, the 4 of us. You go inside.
How was the food?
It was good. It was grilled chicken, grilled fish, rice, plantain,
Nice.
pretty simple, but really nice stuff. And on the walls, I mean, it seems like it's a place that a lot of celebrities go to. There was Snoop Dogg on the walls from when he had eaten there. Like a lot of rappers, I'll say.
Wow.
Ice-T,
You felt right at home.
I could tell I'm surprised they didn't take my picture.
Did you ask for a mic? Let me freestyle this.
Do you know that you've got a podcast host here? I can take a picture too if you'd like.
You're dining with the Prince of Paris here. I don't know if you know.
But no, I'm going to pull the LeBron James. Start really just referring to myself like that. Maybe do the little crown gesture whenever I arrive in a place.
Put the crown on yourself.
But no, it was
especially when people were booing you. That's a bold move.
But no, it was a fun weekend.
Yeah, and a fun Super Bowl.
Really good Super Bowl.
I think we're starting to get a little spoiled that most of the Super Bowls lately have been pretty close. Because I remember when I was younger, there were a
blowouts
handful of Super Bowls that were just blowouts. And over the past, I'd say 5 or so years, most of them now have been pretty close.
Yeah, I mean, in recent history, I'd say we've only really had 2 blowouts, right? There was the Seahawks, Broncos. That was the Seahawks, right? When the Seahawks beat them like 45-7 or whatever it was. And that game was over in a hurry. And then the Buccaneers-Chiefs was a blowout.
Chiefs, yeah.
But no, for the most part.
Yeah, that wasn't the best.
And look, overall as a podcast, I think a lot of the tips we came up with came through. The Octopus came through, which I've subsequently...
I can't believe the Octopus came in. That was amazing.
And it came through in the scenario that we then kind of described as a possible outcome, which was the, down 8 late in the game and having to go for 2.
And it was so perfectly scripted too, because they got pretty close, and I said, "Oh man, they need to go for 2 here." And the first thing I thought was, "Oh, Hurts is going to run this in. This is a possibility." And then when he ran that in for the touchdown, I was like, we're going to see an octopus. Here we go. And then they didn't line up in their stupid sneak formation, which granted they're at the 2, but the way they fucking run it, I don't know why they just don't run that play every play down the field, because you can't stop it the way they run it. So, but anyway, they did it. And then as soon as they snapped in the ball, you could tell he was just going to do it himself. And I was just screaming at the television to get in. And he did. And we got ourselves an Octopus at the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
so I was pretty pumped about that.
A number of podcasts that I listened to today and post-game coverage mention the Octopus. So I think
and we're quoting us.
Yeah, we were slightly ahead of the trend, but that got mentioned. I think we mentioned the possibility of multi-touchdown scorers. I think we kind of narrowed it down to either
3.
Yeah, but we narrowed it down to either Kelsey or Hurts as the only real viable options there.
3. I think it was 125 to 1. I think that was, or something like that.
No.
25 to 1.
125 to 1 would be insane.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, 25 to 1 on Hurts, 3 touchdowns. But no, it was a good game.
I also said the under on the sacks. I was pretty adamant on that one. Everyone I think was over on the sacks because this Eagle defense is so amazing. They've played Daniel Jones and sacked the hell out of him. Look out. But as we predicted, they haven't played a real quarterback, and they did, and that offense pretty much lit them up down the field.
Yeah, in the second half at least. The first half was,
even the first half. They had a touchdown, a missed field goal, 2 touchdowns and one touchdown and a missed field goal.
I don't think you would call that lighting them up, though. I think if the game had continued as it did in the first half, A, the Chiefs would have lost, and B, probably the narrative would have been that the Eagles defense did enough. But in the second half, they couldn't get a stop. And it does, you do feel a little bit torn. I don't think there was a lot of good defense from either teams there. You had the defensive touchdown from the Chiefs, but that was more through Jalen Hurts just kind of losing the plot there on a play. It's not like there was some incredible defensive play to cause him to fumble the ball.
Yeah.
And sometimes it would have been nice, nice to have a little bit of defense.
I think the key defensive stop was that stop that the Chiefs made when they went up 28-27, and then the Eagles got the ball back, and you thought that they were going to then reverse it, and then they 3-and-out them. That, I think, was the big defensive stop, which, again, 1 3-and-out is, as the big defensive play, isn't much. You're right. But that was a huge turning point, because then the Chiefs got the ball back and scored again pretty instantly, because that was the punt return that Kadarius Toney had to the 5 or 6, whatever it was. So that was, I think, a big defensive turning point. I would say almost more than the scoop and score, because had the Eagles gotten that and scored, then you could be going back and forth. But then they went up 8 on them, and at that point, you knew it was going to be tough with the amount of time they had.
I don't know.
And the way that the
I'll
Chiefs
disagree with you there, because I think the defensive touchdown came at a pretty critical point from a momentum standpoint. The Eagles were poised to run away with that game at one moment in time. And I don't think they were too far from doing that, had a couple of things gone differently. And
well, that was a 3rd down, though, so they would have punted there.
Right, but that doesn't. It's not a guaranteed touchdown from the ensuing drive.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah,
and I will say that's also one of the things that really frustrated me during the first half. The constant talk about time of possession, which was a major theme in the coverage of the first half. But when you've had a defensive touchdown scored, you're almost always going to be losing the game from a time of possession standpoint. And yes, you have to try and isolate that when you're then having the time of possession discussion. But everyone was talking about it as if, well, the Chiefs just are not getting the ball here. It's like, well, they threw a defensive touchdown. They gave the Eagles back-to-back offensive possessions. So even if everything else had been equal, the Eagles would have been edging the time of possession purely from that standpoint. So that was a little bit frustrating. Like, there was a fair difference in the time of possession that was greater than just that touchdown, but the fact that that wasn't even getting mentioned as part of the coverage was a little bit frustrating.
Well, it's also very annoying because it's so much taken out of context sometimes, where like they'll say that the Eagles are dominating because look at the time of possession, but then let's look at the other side. This is a tie game, right? So obviously they're not dominating from the points, And the Chiefs scored a touchdown in 3 minutes and then drove down the field and missed that field goal in 2 minutes. So it's not as if they're not doing anything. They had over 100 yards in 2 drives in 5 minutes. So like, yeah, okay, they don't have the time of possession, but if they're driving down the field and scoring in 7 plays, then who the hell gives a shit if they have the ball for 15 minutes? Whereas the Eagles, they're a run-first team. So just by the nature of their offense, they're going to run the clock more to begin with. And then when you add a defensive touchdown that you skip an offensive drive and you get back-to-back on the Eagles, like, yeah, of course. But like that was kind of annoying at a point when they kept
the counter to some of what you're saying there is you would normally expect over the course of a game a huge difference in time of possession. It's going to tell. You can't have your defense. There are moments, and we've seen it with the Chiefs probably in the past. Yeah, it's great to go down and score in 90 seconds every time, but you do expose your defense then over the course of a game, and they can become more tired as a result of that. So there are moments when, even if the game is close up to that, you would say by minute 45, the fact that one defense is on the field 70-80% of the game is probably going to be a major factor.
Also helps that there's probably like a 2-hour halftime that they can rest up.
Yeah, no, that is true. But so it was an interesting game. Obviously, a couple major talking points, including the flag at the end of the game. That's got a lot of people really worked up, that they felt as if the game was determined by the officials, even though I think everyone kind of acknowledges that it was a holding call is correct. It's just a question of whether or not they should have sort of swallowed the flag because of the context in which the game was being played. I think there's some argument to that, but it's not as if they didn't just let the teams play all game and then decided to change the way in which they were officiating right at the end. I think when that happens, it bothers me. It was pretty consistent throughout the game itself.
Yeah, it's a tough call to make. I think even Bradbury admitted he held him and grabbed the jersey. They hadn't called much holding, and we can say maybe that was because it was a really clean game, but I think everyone knows that there is no such thing as a clean game and that there's always going to be holding. So the amount of leniency, we don't really know. It's a tough spot to be in for a ref, I think there. I don't think it was a particularly egregious call that he called it. I think even the ones we've talked about previously the week before with the Bengals, I think that was a worse call, no call kind of thing than this one. So I don't know. I mean, they still had the ball at the 15. The Eagles would have gotten the ball, so they would have had a chance, obviously, but it's not as if that didn't stop the Chiefs from probably going up 3.
Yeah, but there would have been quite a long time left.
I know, about a minute 50.
And to be perfectly honest with you, I would have expected the Eagles to at least get within field goal range. I mean, yes.
Do they just run it, you think?
I mean, I don't
continue.
But we hadn't seen a lot in guaranteed 4-down situations, which they were pretty much like that anyway on every drive. I can't imagine them not getting to the Chiefs 45 and at least giving themselves a shot at a game-tying field goal. So it is a critical call, but I don't know how people can be so upset. I mean, look, you're right. You can probably call holding on every play, and it's just a question of whether or not they decide to. But when you do have the player themselves coming out and saying, I held him and I hoped I was going to get away with it, then why is this so controversial? Like the player himself is saying, I definitely did it. And then you're still saying, but was it a penalty? It's like, who else do you need to weigh in on this?
I think maybe one of the major talking points, Eddie, is Mahomes just pain intolerant,
or just,
or very, very pain tolerant? They're one or the other. Either this is a pretty serious high ankle sprain that he's able, because he did not get any drugs or injections at halftime. They came out and said that. So he, seemed to be in terrible amounts of pain coming off the field on that one play. And then after halftime came out and seemed to be pretty good. The only thing I will say that was kind of funny was on that last drive when he has that nice, 20-yard scramble. it seemed as if his leg was hurting a little bit because he can't run straight and he's like starting to veer off to the left. And I don't know if he's doing it purposely. It almost looks like the one leg isn't working as well. And he starts like kind of curving a little bit. He can't run straight. I thought that was kind of funny. But I mean, I don't know what to make of this. You know, some people are going to say that this is like the Michael Jordan flu game. You know, he's coming off a high ankle sprain and comes out in that second half after he re-aggravates the injury and plays pretty much a flawless second half. I would love to say, yes, I agree, but I don't know. Like, I don't understand how you can have that type of pain and then all of a sudden it not hurt at all anymore. You know, like,
so
it's strange.
At times over the course of this podcast, we have accused Aaron Rodgers of milking injuries to add to the kind of Aaron Rodgers aura. What a gamer. Oh, look at Rodgers struggling through the pain, putting the team on his back. And just because we maybe think less of Rodgers than we do of Mahomes, I am not going to be hypocritical and not say I think Aaron Mahomes. I think Patrick Mahomes has taken a play right out of the Aaron Rodgers playbook. And I'm sure his ankle hurts. Like, I'm not saying that he's completely making up. Obviously, the original injury against the Jags, I mean, that was for everyone to see. But over the course of the game against the Bengals, and then over this game when he sort of semi-re-injures it, and then miraculously heals himself. And every once in a while, it's almost as if he remembered that he was supposed to have an ankle injury. So at the end of the odd play, there would be a little bit of a limp, you know. But I think, you know, he's in a lot of commercials, and I think he was putting on a good acting job over the last few weeks. And part of it is, I think, because maybe he's going to say this is his Michael Jordan flu game. And to me, it's not. I just didn't see enough evidence. The thing with the Michael Jordan flu game is it was clear to everyone that that was affecting his ability to perform. Like, he was literally sort of dragging himself through a very limiting physical situation. Whereas I didn't see enough from Mahomes to see that it was actually limiting anything he could do, apart from occasionally in between plays. And that to me is,
yeah,
I struggle with it.
Yeah. I mean, adrenaline is a hell of a drug, but I agree with you. Adrenaline can maybe wear off some of the pain that you're feeling, but your injury is still going to limit your physical ability to do things. You know, adrenaline might wear off that feeling that, oh shit, I'm in a lot of pain, I shouldn't do this. But if it's an actual injury, you're not going to physically be able to do some of the things that he was able to do there. So I don't know how serious of an injury that was.
Talking about if that scramble, if he had been limping around and struggling all game, had managed to pull off that one scramble, and then we could kind of put that one down to adrenaline. But if his adrenaline was so high that for basically the last 3 weeks he hasn't been impacted by this injury, I think Patrick Mahomes needs to go and get himself tested, because I got real concerns about what his long-term health is going to look like. Because he might just...
Oh, I thought you were going to go the other way. I thought he was going to be like Wolverine. Well, he just heals.
He might be pure adrenaline. I mean, this is, you know... But no, I think he milked it. I think it's difficult to... And as I said, if it were anyone other than, you know, if that had been Aaron Rodgers, we would definitely be accusing him of milking it. You know, or if it had been, you know, there's a handful of quarterbacks who instantly would have been like, oh man, this guy is really trying to make us aware of the fact that he might be a little injured. And I think Patrick Mahomes made us all remember, well, he might be a little injured constantly.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of it, but the Chiefs just played a great second half. And the question I had for you is, do you think that was halftime adjustments, that they just came out and their offense pretty much just dominated? Or do you think that was the first half, they didn't get into a groove because they had that time where there was like 50 minutes that they weren't on the field, and then they came out and I think went 3 and out and punted? Is it just that it was kind of just, weird first half that they didn't get the rhythm going, or do you think they went into halftime, saw something, and came out and just exposed them?
I haven't rewatched the game. I don't feel as if their offense was running any differently in the second half. The types of plays they were running seemed extremely similar. So yeah, I think maybe it's just that they weren't able to get in complete rhythm in that first half. And just the reality of it is that Philadelphia Eagles team, I mean, they failed to make a defensive play of significance really at any point during that game. And that was true from the first minute to the last. They, this much vaunted Philadelphia Eagles defense, one of the most feared in the league, game changing defense. They're going to have to, and then added to with this completely idiotic hiring of Nick Fangio as a 2-week consultant to help them prepare for the Chiefs, a guy who had an 0-6
that didn't work out
0-6 record against the Chiefs. What was he coming in to do? They were like suggesting plays to him, and
0-7 now.
Yeah, but I mean, when he was hired 0-6, like, where they bring him in so that he could say, "I've tried that; it did not work." Is that all he was there for? Is like a filter system, like not actually recommending anything, but just being like, "Oh yeah, we did that one, didn't work at all." Do you know how we?
I think his recommendation was first half, just don't cover Kelsey. No one else does it, and it doesn't work. So they're not going to expect that you do the same. So just don't cover him in that first half.
Yeah, no, it was, it's just bizarre.
Let me ask this. Do you feel a little, because we talked about it last podcast, that I think you felt a little slighted saying that the Eagles were the best defense, being a Niners fan, where you've seen how ferocious that Niners defense is. And we both kind of agreed that the Eagles are the best defense statistically, but where are those statistics coming from? Do you feel a little vindicated here, seeing that the Chiefs just pretty much just thromped them up and down the field?
Slightly vindicated. And I think if you're a Niners fan, you have to tell yourself then, had the Purdy injury not happened, I think that I now feel even more vindicated in the idea of saying I think the Niners would have won that game. And I think both the 49ers and the Bengals are probably sitting there yesterday and probably today saying to themselves, had either one of us made the Super Bowl, I think they each win the Super Bowl if they're in it against if it's Bengals, Eagles, the Bengals win. If it's Niners, Chiefs, I think the Niners would have won that game. And so to me, that is, I think both teams will be sitting there thinking, wow, things worked a little bit differently.
I do love, though. What indication is it that the Niners go and win this game?
Because in the end, the Chiefs have only managed to win that by 3 points. And I think it's absolutely inconceivable to think that Niners team over the course of an entire game could have been less impressive defensively than what the Eagles put out yesterday. That a team that consistently forces pretty much a turnover a game would have forced a turnover at some point, that they would have sacked Patrick Mahomes at some point, that they would have forced a 3 and out or a punt at some point in the second half.
Could their offense have put up 400 yards like the Eagles did
against that Chiefs defense? I mean, that didn't make a play really either. Why wouldn't they? I mean, it's a bizarre game. You look back on it. Okay, there's the Chiefs' defensive touchdown, as we touched on. Aside from that, there wasn't even a moment anyone was close to a turnover. Normally, you watch an NFL game and you're like, oh, that was a dangerous throw. Ooh, the corner could have made a play there. That was just, wide open guy, 15 yards. Oh, wide open guy, 15 yards. And the rare moments of the punts usually occurred from, they picked up 6 yards. It was a third down, incomplete pass. There were very few moments of like, wow, good defensive play. It was kind of the offense's stalling that led to the rare punts that there were. So could the Niners have put up 400 yards? Probably, but I don't think the Chiefs scored 35 points. So could the Niners have put up at least 300 against that Chiefs defense? Absolutely. And vice versa. The Bengals, I mean, I think Joe Burrow could have broken Tom Brady's record. I mean, and maybe in one half. That could have been an 800-yard Joe Burrow performance.
I love it. The Niners' nonstop confidence.
But it's also confidence for the Bengals. And again, I think those 4 teams were the best 4 teams over the course of the season. Any combination of them would have delivered a good Super Bowl. And I think whoever would won those championship games could rightfully say they were the best 2 teams in the NFL because they kind of passed that important test. But ultimately, both of the losing teams in those championship games will watch that game thinking, I think we could have had them there. Like there were obviously good plays, but there was no defense there at all. I think we would have been able to do what we wanted to do.
What's your opinion on Hurts after this game?
I think it's.
Do you have a slightly better opinion? I thought I was impressed with his performance. I think that fumble aside, which was it just happened. You know, it wasn't like he did anything crazy, stupid or something like that. He just lost the ball as he was kind of switching hands. You know, I think it was just one of those things that 95 times it doesn't happen. And that one time it kind of just slipped and he fumbled it a little bit, you know, nothing too stupid, but he played a pretty good game. He had some really nice throws too. He had that one to Goddard that they called the catch and then reviewed it and then kept it to catch. That was a hell of a throw. I mean, that was like a pinpoint throw. And he had a few of those that were just like he dropped dimes in. And then unfortunately his last throw that he'll be remembered for is one of the worst Hail Marys I've ever seen from Pop Warner to the professional leagues. but I think overall, I mean, he ran the hell out of the ball. You know, I thought he did well. I was impressed. I will be interested to see if this is a consistent thread or if this is a 1 year really like specific system season. So
I think he should have been the MVP of the Super Bowl. Like, I think if we...
Yeah, we talked about that in the chat. I think
if we got away...
It'll never happen.
If we got away with this idea that it almost has to come from the winning team, that the most impressive single-player performance in that Super Bowl was Hurts. He almost single-handedly won the Eagles that game. And
so, we said real quick, I was to prove what you're saying, 417 yards they had. He accounted for 375 of those between passing and running.
Yeah. I mean, he had Patrick Mahomes didn't really put a foot wrong. No pun intended there. But I also don't think Patrick Mahomes was particularly spectacular. And, you know, I do think in the end, Mahomes sort of won MVP by default because it was hard to put together a strong case for any other Chiefs player because none of them, like, if Kelsey had continued his first half in the second half, maybe he ends up getting it. But, you know, in the end, he had a great first half, didn't do a tremendous amount in the second. I
thought maybe if Tony returned that punt for a touchdown
maybe.
And he ends the day with 2 touchdowns and a punt return, which doesn't very much happen in a Super Bowl, maybe that's enough.
Yeah, and it's the longest.
I agree with you. I just don't think they'd ever give it. And I don't know. I think, 1, I don't think they'd ever give it to the losing team. And 2, I don't know if they'd ever put that player in that situation.
But why? I think it would be a tremendous honor to say.
I think you're going to be so upset from that loss that it would just aggravate you more to be like, hey, can you come back out on the field and accept this MVP trophy?
I mean, he has to go through those media requirements anyway, right? So it's not as if he just gets to run off and you know, cry in the shower and never come out. He has to face the media, answer questions.
He's not Nick Sirianni. He's not crying. He's not listening to the national anthem crying.
Yeah, so intense. He loves America so much more than you. Did you cry?
No, we'll cover that in a minute, but let's finish on the Hurts. I agree with you, though. I thought without him, that's like not even a game.
The only reason why you'd say it puts the player in potentially an uncomfortable position is more if he doesn't have the right attitude in terms of within his own team. You then have a guy walking back into the locker room saying, guys, I was Super Bowl MVP, and if any of you had been a little bit better, we would have won that game.
If any of you could have fucking done anything else.
That's how good I was. We lost, and they've still given me this award. That's the only reason. Now that's not for the NFL to worry about. That's the own internal goings on of a team and a player. But I do think he was the MVP. Like, had the Eagles won, he was an absolute 100% consensus pick. There would have been no thought about who else it could have been. Whereas I do think with the Chiefs, you still had to think to yourself a little bit, well, maybe someone else deserves it. And look, it's great for Mahomes. He enters elite company, right, of quarterbacks that have won 2 Super Bowls and 2 Super Bowl MVPs. I think he's only the 4th player in NFL history, only the 4th quarterback in NFL history now, and it's a pretty elite list of quarterbacks. I think it's Brady, Joe Montana, and I think maybe it's I can't remember who the other one is, but it's it's a great list to be on. But it's a fairly weak MVP award. Like, I don't think that's but yeah, I think I come away with it with a higher impression of Jalen Hurts for sure.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts in that game ran for 12 first downs himself. That's crazy. And 3 touchdowns. I mean, to get 3 rushing touchdowns as a quarterback is crazy, and a 2-point conversion. He would definitely put the team on his back. Andy Reid, 2nd Super Bowl win. How many coaches have 2 or more Super Bowl wins?
I'll say 4.
He was now the 13th coach.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right? That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, so it's not unlike the Mahomes elite company list, then that's just pretty much everyone.
Yep.
Have you won a Super Bowl as a head coach? Then you've probably won 2.
I think Tom Coughlin might have been the last. Or did Belichick win 2 after Coughlin won that second one?
No.
No.
Belichick would have already won 3.
Yeah.
By that time.
Nick Sirianni, Eddie, he says for the last few months before games, he listens to the Whitney Houston, I think it was like 1995 rendition of the national anthem during the Super Bowl. And he gets very emotional, worked up before games listening to it. And that he wouldn't be surprised if he got emotional during this national anthem that it's all been leading to.
Yeah. I'm a little torn on this because I wouldn't make fun of a player for crying, and I actually think it's very normal to cry. Like, when you're representing your country, crying during your national anthem feels really different to me than crying during the national anthem before a Super Bowl. I don't know why, but like an Olympian crying while the national anthem gets played, or a soccer player crying before a game while the anthem is playing, feels completely different to a head coach of an NFL team crying before the Super Bowl while the national anthem is playing. And I can understand being a little bit overwhelmed by the emotion, and it's also the way in which he cried. Like, that was it's one thing to have like the single tear kind of running down, and you can just see the eyes are kind of swelling up a little bit. That's one thing, but that was a lot of tears coming out of both of his eyes. I mean, that was
it did not take long post loss for the memes to hit with those pictures.
You knew instantly. I mean, we said in the group, once it happened, he had to really hope that they won. He was going to be memed no matter what the outcome was. But in particular, it's like the crying Jordan face. He's entered elite company from a meme perspective. Like, he'll probably be gift and meme for the rest of eternity. So he's got that to go by. But I just overall, I hate him. He pulls the like he does like the first down signal on the sidelines when he's a coach. You know, there's a lot of things where he seems like such a hardo, and he just annoys me. The way
great college coach.
The way he celebrates with the other coaches and the players, like he kind of did the like Bash Brothers celebration at one point with one of the other coaches. It's just like it comes across as such a dork, and he was the thing that was making me want the Eagles to lose the most. And I'm just disappointed that he will have to be part of my life for the foreseeable future, because he is clearly a good coach and the Eagles are a good team. So he's not going away anytime soon.
Speaking of going away anytime soon, how long before they outlaw the rugby style sneak?
Not too long.
Is it going to be right after this game they see how dumb it is, or are they going to wait for a quarterback to get pretty injured one time and then they're going to eliminate it? I mean, just watching this game, it got to the point where it's like, this is just dumb.
I think there's more efficient ways to try and stop it than what we're seeing from teams at the moment, so that you could say at some point defenses will come up with a way of limiting the damage it can do. But I think more teams will find more creative ways to sort of employ that ability to sort of push a scrum for several yards. It will force the NFL's hand at some point, because you kind of think of it as in rugby, like the idea of the rolling maul, using their bodies and the momentum to carry their way down the pitch. You could have a situation in the NFL where it's like, okay, I'm going to catch the ball, and then 7 of you are going to just run and hold me up and push me.
Yeah.
And at that point, we're going to be pretty much unstoppable. And they kind of tolerate this at the moment around the first, like on a crew, when it's going for a first down or right around the goal line. I'd be interested to see if teams just started and that became an intentional tactic. Like if you just had your running back, what if you just started with like 4 fullbacks lined up behind the running back, and in the instant he gets the ball, you're just, an actual scrum kind of running towards players, being like, well, even if you make a tackle, we're gonna push him for 4 yards every time.
I think this is maybe the new play. Instead of doing a Hail Mary at the end of the game, you just throw like a little screen pass, have like 4 blockers in front, 2 behind you, and just scrum up the field the entire way.
Yeah. No, it's at some point someone's going to game the system enough that they will have to come up with some very specifically worded rule that prevents you from doing it. But it just makes it seem, when you did see how efficient the Eagles were in picking up first downs, and they knew, they did the thing. It's like watching someone play Madden. In the bar, it was frustrating me. Then people are idiots. The bar I was watching it at, I mean, I'm not specific talking about that bar, but you had Chiefs fans where it would be 3rd down, and then it was 4th and 1, and they're cheering. It's like, you guys know they're going for it, right? And they're getting it. Like, I don't know why you're cheering. Like, it actually doesn't matter that you tackled that running back slightly short of the first down marker. If anything, you're kind of allowing the Eagles to pick up a couple more yards and a fresh set of downs. It's almost advantageous for them. Like, they're kind of getting an extra down out of this, basically. But it makes me wonder how when you do see NFL teams try and go for it either on the goal line or in a 4th and short situation, the fact that teams fail when you see how some teams are so efficient. If I were an owner of a team and I watched that game and I had a head coach where, I'd like go back and look at our team and be like, wait, we were, 50% on, 4th and 1 this season. I'd immediately be calling our head coach and be like, why aren't we doing what they're doing and just picking up every first down? That's the thing that baffles me.
And you can't even use the excuse, like, so the Chiefs don't do QB sneaks because of Mahomes, but who cares? Then put in Henny and do the same thing. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who is holding the ball. It's not as if Jalen Hurts is doing something that's crazy that no other quarterback can do. All he's doing is taking the snap and holding on for dear life as people push the shit out of him forward. Like, that's all that's happening.
Yeah.
Anyone could do that. In fact, you might even be better off having a bigger guy do it, who might even be harder to get down. Like, like Kelsey. Why couldn't Kelsey, as long as he can get the snap, just let Kelsey take it and let 3 people push Kelsey forward? Like, you can't stop it.
No, I mean,
it's not stoppable.
The only 2 skills involved is cleanly collecting the snap, which, whoever you're going to have.
Which Kelsey has fumbled before doing.
But obviously, if you elected for someone else to be the kind of specialist for that situation, then that's something they work on all season and get the timing down with the center. And you kind of make sure that that's something whoever you're choosing is good at it. And the only other thing you can say is you have to be able to look at that line and be like, okay, that's the hole I'm going to be pushed through. I don't think that's a particularly challenging skill, because usually it's like, oh, there's not a guy standing exactly there.
That's the hole I need to penetrate.
But
you need someone who can figure out what hole to penetrate.
Yes. And again, a little bit of practice. If that's your specialist guy, I don't think that it's not rocket science to be like, oh, hold on, there's 8 guys lined up there. There's a slight gap between 2 of them right there. That's where I'm going. I'm not actually going to push directly into a guy right in front of me. That's, it's not particularly complicated.
Any other takeaways from the game?
No, I will say, I know we had the conversation about, is Mahomes already now an MVP, Hall of Famer? I do the Chiefs dynasty talk, which has been pretty significant today. I don't think the Chiefs are a dynasty yet.
I actually have a question for you on this. Not the Chiefs dynasty, but I want to be particular here in the NFL, because I think it's different for each sport. Is a dynasty defined by just the Super Bowls you win, or how many times you are making it to the Super Bowl? Because, or do you even go back further than that? Because if you want to say AFC Championship, they've made it every year since Mahomes has been the starter. If you want to say Super Bowl, they've done 3 out of the last 4. If you want to say win, they've won 2 out of the last 4. So do you account for making it to the Super Bowl as being part of contributing to being
a little bit? I think only Super Bowls, NFC Championship games or AFC Championship games. Okay. I don't think you can be. That just makes you a good team, but I don't think you could even talk about dynasty. But you got to win some, if not a lot of them. Because, for example, you would be insane.
Win over 50%.
You would be insane if someone sat down with me and said, do you remember the Bills dynasty from the early 90s? What are you talking about? It's like, well, they made 4 Super Bowls in a row. It's like, I mean, that's a solid point. But you could maybe call them an AFC.
They're an AFC
dynasty.
Yeah.
if you wanted to be really specific, but. And then let's say,
I think you have to be winning over 50% of them.
Because let's take that Bills team as an example. If they'd won 1 out of 4, definitely still not a dynasty. I think you need 3 Super Bowls to be a dynasty.
Win. You need to win wins. 3.
Because even if the Bills had gone 2-4, I don't think I'd feel comfortable saying they were a dynasty. But if they'd won 3 out of 4, the other thing too is, I think even a 4-year period isn't long enough for the dynasty talk. I think you need to get to 6 years maybe, where then you can say, all right, that was a significant period of time. So for the Chiefs to be a dynasty for me, in a sense, they would need to win next year's Super Bowl. I also think back-to-back wins at some point is important, because that shows for 24 months you were maybe the best team, whereas it's like, well, you won 1, then a couple years later won another. It's like, all right, you weren't a dynasty, you were just one of the very good teams over a 6-7 year period.
I'm a little more lenient on that you have to be winning all the time versus other sports. Like, for instance, in the NBA, I would only say a dynasty is if you're winning the NBA finals. If you're just making the finals a bunch of times, whatever. It's you have 7 games to win, you can win. In the Super Bowl, sometimes things go wrong in one game and you get unlucky, and that happens. So I don't think you have to win every game, but I agree with you. You have to win a majority of the games you make. You can't make 5 Super Bowls, win 1, and call yourself a dynasty. That's not going to happen.
So yeah,
I do like your point though about the back-to-back. That is a good point, because even if the Chiefs next year were to lose and then come back the following year and win, are they really a dynasty if they're winning like every other year, every few, like the back-to-back does solidify at some point in time that, like you're just dominating for a very long period of time.
I also think, and I think the NFL is a little bit different in terms of being this. I don't think the Super Bowl champion. I think some sports you really get a target put on you when you're the kind of reigning champions. And I don't think you get that as much in the NFL, just because the season is so short that every game is so significant. Yeah. I don't like, no one prepares for you differently because you're, well, the Chiefs won the Super Bowl last year, so we better really prepare now. We didn't really prepare for the Jets last week. Like I think you can always make the argument in like the NBA or maybe the NHL, or, there's kind of teams are more up. It's like a long season, and they get extra motivated for like, well, let's beat this team because that kind of proves something about us. But I do think there is passing, like being the defending champions and passing that test again is also another important step to being that dynasty of like, we were the team to beat, and we beat everybody. And everybody knew we were the guys there you had to get past, and nobody did it. Whereas, we kind of entered this playoffs, and even though the Chiefs have been one of the best teams over the past few years, they kind of were the team to beat, but they also kind of weren't. They've also, in a lot of their Super Bowl runs, I mean, they nearly lost to the Bengals. There's a lot of, yes, you need the luck, as you said, in the NFL. A couple of plays decide the outcome of most games, and you need the ball to bounce the right way at the right time. But, we weren't that far away from the Chiefs not even being in the Super Bowl this year. So to then say, well, they also, I mean, they could have lost to the Jags. They weren't that game. Yeah. And so they definitely could and possibly should have lost to the Bengals. So then be like, well, what a dynasty. Just this unstoppable juggernaut that is the Chiefs.
The last thing I'll touch on, since this is of a similar vein, and also, I guess, not to be a hypocrite like you wanted to do, I will do the same and say I ripped on the Bengals a lot last week or 2 weeks ago, I guess, for how they have that narrative that no one believes in them. No one said they would win. No one said they could win. No one could say they could be here when they were in the frickin' Super Bowl the year before. And even worse was Travis Kelce saying that no one believes in the Kansas City Chiefs and no one picked them and no one thought they could win. Who the fuck is he talking about? They were the number 2 favorite in Vegas, everywhere. Everyone in the preseason picked it. Bill Simmons picked them to win the Super Bowl at the beginning of the year. What are you talking about? Like, It's the most outrageous concept I've ever heard of.
I know, and even going into the Super Bowl itself, they were by the time the game went off, I think they were 1-point underdogs.
Yeah.
So it's not as if they were like 7-point underdogs going into the Super Bowl, and you're like, well, we really proved the world wrong. It's like, no, I think everyone thought the game was, no matter how you felt about the game, I think most people thought it was pretty much a toss-up. And in the end, you won the game by 3 points with a field goal with 8 seconds left. So kind of the game was a toss-up. And like, it didn't prove, it goes back to the way they celebrated kind of like against the Bengals 2 weeks ago. They treat these narrow margins of victories as if they have just emphatically proven all the doubters wrong. It's like, well, no, I think if most people thought it was going to be a close game and you might lose, well, it was a close game and you just barely managed to win. You didn't really prove anyone wrong there, even if they didn't, quote unquote, believe in you. So yeah, they probably feel as if they weren't that far away from being right.
Yeah, I just didn't understand who he was talking about. The only thing I will say is pregame, all of the Fox pregame analysts all picked the Eagles. So unless he was watching television 20 minutes before the game started and he was calling them out specifically, I don't know what the hell he's talking about, because they were like 6-1 second favorites to win the Super Bowl at the start of the year. And, like they were the number 1 seed going in. So I don't know how he thinks no one thought they could do this. It was a little outrageous.
Yeah, and they're 11-2 favorites to win the Super Bowl right now. So just before he starts the whole nobody believes in us again next year, right now, a lot of people believe in you. You are going to go into next season as the favorites, and you can't, maybe there'll be a mid-season, the Chiefs have lost back-to-back games, and there'll be a few people saying, because it also just bothers me in general. It's like athletes latching on with the way we have the 24-hour news network, sports news networks, and all these talking head shows. People say stuff to be controversial, like Stephen A. Smith says stuff that he doesn't believe in, but he just has to say it. So, like, if the Chiefs lose a game, everyone has to say, are the Chiefs done? Are the Chiefs in trouble? Is this Chiefs team overrated? And some, like one idiot on that panel show has to say, I've always thought the Chiefs were fraudulent. They're really just not that good. You have to, as an athlete, you cannot latch onto that and be like, they're disrespecting me on ESPN. It's like, it's just, you got to have some idea of this is just like an act, right? Like, is it?
Well, I mean, Travis Kelce believes in WWE, so maybe he.
It's like, isn't it crazy? Every day on First Take, one of them takes one side and the other one takes the other. What are the odds that they constantly disagree on every topic? It's like, oh yeah, it's almost as if it's pretty much a scripted show. And at one moment in time, when they have their, production meeting in the morning, they go, hey, Steven, do you feel really strongly about this? No, I don't. Well, then you'll have to play devil's advocate on this one. And yeah, just overall, the teams constantly relying on the nobody believes in us. We've been publicly disrespected. Just give it a rest.
Maybe they flip the script next year, and if they lose in like the AFC Championship, they say that too many people believed in them, and that's why they lost.
Yeah, the weight of expectation.
Everyone picked us to win the Super Bowl, and we lost because of it.
Like, if you think to the teams that made the playoffs this year, one or two of them could have legitimately could have gone with the nobody believes in us if they'd strung together a playoff run. But even most of them, like the Giants, couldn't have even said nobody believes in us, because going into the playoffs, there were a lot of people being like, this Giants team eerily similar to the 2007 Giants. You know what I mean? Like, even as a kind of rank outsiders, there were people believing in you. Like, they're the dark horses to win the Super Bowl. There were a couple teams and nobody gave a chance to. And if they'd been able to put it together, I could have maybe accepted sitting through a post-game speech of someone saying, we've really proven you all wrong. But yeah, not especially, you got the MVP of the league as your quarterback and a team that's been successful over the last 4 years. It's just a crazy statement to make.
So what will you now do with yourself with all these free Sunday afternoons and nights, Eddie?
Yeah, it does mean I can get to sleep a lot earlier on Sundays, Mondays, and Thursdays. So that's nice. But, we've obviously the Six Nations is underway, so that gives me some extra sport. And, we've got there's a few things that will kick off, and we're not too far away from like the Masters. The tennis season ramps up in a bit. Obviously, Sunday nights, I can watch The Last of Us. So I will definitely find ways to occupy myself.
How was the food situation where you watched the Super Bowl?
So there's no kitchen where we were. We went out to dinner before. So I went to Vasilis's, one of his restaurants. Had a very nice. I actually ate octopus, so that was the.
You ate octopus, and you didn't tell the world that you had eaten an octopus to bet the octopus.
Yeah. So we had a great meal. Really filled ourselves up pre-match, and I have to admit, we ate so much food then that I wasn't really ever hungry again. But at one moment in time, a girl did walk around the bar. She had ordered Pizza Hut, and I guess she had like her group had ordered
She
Pizza
heard
Hut.
our podcast.
Yeah, and so she walked over to us and she had 4 slices of pizza in this box, and there were 4 of us. And she was like, "Do one of you want a slice?" And I think in her mind, she was expecting, like, at most, 2 of these people are going to say yes, and I'm still going to walk away with 2 slices. All 4 slices were taken.
Whoops.
Yeah, and I mean, there was nothing she could do about it. She open boxed and went, "Does someone want it?" And it's like, well, you've opened yourself up to this situation. But yeah, that pizza was immediately gone.
That's funny. Oh, she instantly regretted that. You might have been one of the few people to eat octopus during Super Bowl. I don't think that's a common item served at Super Bowl parties.
No, it wasn't.
What do you guys got? Oh, we got some wings, we got some pork sliders, and we have this delectable little fried octopus and a little grilled octopus. We're doing it 2 ways this time.
Yeah, no, I think my Super Bowl meal, which it was the usual assortment of starters. So we had domates, which is the rice wrapped in olive leaves, and then a selection of Greek dips like pepper and feta cheese, tzatziki.
Greek what?
Dips.
Oh, dips.
Yeah.
Okay.
With pita bread and some other things, and then I had grilled saffron grilled octopus. So yeah, it was with kale and beets. It was not your traditional Super Bowl meal, but it was excellent. As a Vasilis related update, we've
oh boy,
there's nothing too exciting to discuss. He was very proud of himself. On Saturday night, we did not meet up with him. He went out and kept texting me to tell me what an incredible party it was. And he did manage. He's met a Brazilian model that he's now infatuated with. So he was disappointed when she did not turn up to watch the Super Bowl. I don't know. Surprises me that Brazilian models.
Is she real?
Well, I've seen her Instagram. She seemed real.
That doesn't mean anything.
We'll see.
Because Instagram doesn't have bots.
But an update that did surprise me, and we have discussed at different moments in time Vasilis's sort of sexcapades and sex life, came out over the weekend that Vasilis has not had sex in 2023. And that blew my mind. Of all of the things, it would have been, if he had set the odds, Jalen Hurts scoring 3 touchdowns in the Super Bowl was odds on compared to the prospect that Vasilis was in a 6-week-long dry spell.
I'm sure Vasilis is so happy this is what we discussed.
Hey, if you're going to get you get the clout for, attending sex parties and all the things.
I don't think we've ever given him particular clout. I don't think we've ever talked favorably about him.
No, it's true. Well, yeah, I mean, anytime he makes it onto the podcast, it's rarely something that he probably really wants being discussed in the public forum, but he always gives me the approval. He's got no shame.
Well, maybe he's just waiting for love, Eddie.
I guess I could link us back to Rihanna if on where he could possibly find love, but no, it's which we didn't discuss the half.
Oh, you think he doesn't have the money?
I was going to say you'd have to find it in a hopeless place. That was
I know,
but yeah, no, he it was, which I think I'll be brief on maybe a quick Super Bowl halftime review. She's got a great set of songs. It's like I said, those 6-7 hits are huge hits. So from
12 she played.
No, I know, but I don't think they're all. There were a couple.
Well, I'm just saying because the over under was 9.5.
There were a couple that she probably didn't need to bring out for the Super Bowl, but the choreography was pretty good. I thought the dancing clouds was a little strange at times. The platform.
You mean the Super Smash Brothers?
Yeah, the platform thing was very cool, and the height to which she went was impressive.
I can't believe that. Like, I don't know who agrees to do that. I don't care how much safety is involved. There's no way you're hanging me off of a 10 by 10 platform in the middle of a stadium that high up. That was crazy. That was insane.
Yeah, it definitely takes some bravery, but and overall it was a good show. I think, I have my thoughts on the lip syncing, which, I mean, she's singing, but the like backtrack, like the backing vocals did some heavy lifting there at times, for sure. And I think that's a little disappointing when you're putting on a live Super Bowl performance. And I know this will get us some criticism for sure. There was also moments where it was maybe slightly awkward and uncomfortable to watch a pregnant woman sort of like grab her crotch and gesticulate sexually. It's a little bit strange. But aside from that, it was a good halftime show.
Eddie, I think you're going to get shit no matter if you'd said that or if you had said that you were turned on by it. I think either way, you're going to catch some grief.
And maybe from the same people. That's the thing, that those situations put you into an uncomfortable position. Is there people out there who, no matter what take you have on the Rihanna being pregnant and performing, I did see a few people coming out and saying she shouldn't have performed as a pregnant woman. That seems outrageous to me. But also,
what's the difference?
But also, she obviously agreed to do the Super Bowl before she was pregnant as well. So it's not as if she agreed to do it 2 weeks ago and they knew what the situation was. It was like, well, maybe given this, you shouldn't have done it. It's like she signed up, probably a year ago. I don't know exactly. Like, I'm imagining the discussions for who's going to perform at the next Super Bowl halftime show start pretty much as soon as the Super Bowl before is over.
Yeah.
So
I want to say it was even announced by like week 7.
Yeah.
So you have to figure how far back had they been in discussions,
Exactly. Yeah. And but no, it's so I got no problem. Obviously, I think it's great for to show that pregnant women can get out there and do things. But I don't know if getting out there and doing things necessarily have to include grabbing your crotch. I think I might draw a line at some point, and I think we probably crossed the line over the course of
no line was crossed, Eddie.
Over the course.
She can do whatever she wants up there. Does not bother me.
Yeah.
I just want to see the Google trend spike for when she first came out, the amount of people that put, "Is Rihanna pregnant?" Because I'm in about 5 group chats, and everyone around the same time as soon as she started was, "Is she pregnant? Is she pregnant? Is she pregnant?" Like, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it became abundantly obvious. And I like that they had to then afterwards came out with an official statement from her team saying that she is.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you're just telling me water's wet at this point. Like, you did not need to make a statement saying that she's pregnant.
Yeah. No, I thought it was really good overall. The thing that was a few things surprising, because actually this was the only bet I lost all Super Bowl, was what would be her first and last song I bet on. That was the only loss we had. We did $10 each on 2 different scenarios, neither of which came true. Or actually, we got the last song on one of them. So that was one. But the other one was that no one else showed up. It was just her. There was a lot of talk that, Jay-Z would make an appearance, or Drake would make an appearance, or other people that she's collaborated with would make an appearance. And I kind of like it, because last year that wasn't like an appearance heavy one, where there was a lot of people out there. I think you should kind of go back and forth a little bit. If you have someone who has 10 good songs, then let them sing their songs. They don't need to have like the Red Hot Chili Peppers come out for a song. Like, I think who did that? Was that like Coldplay or something like that did one year, where they had like a random band come out? Like, if you got the songs, go for it. Like, have those Super Bowls where you have a lot of people performing, have that be the halftime show, but if you're going to have one person headline, let them headline.
No, yeah. I guess the thing with Jay-Z, right? He was there. So that makes it a little strained in some respects. But also,
Yeah.
like, how long did she play Umbrella for? 45 seconds, maybe? So you're going to go through Jay-Z having to, like, the whole, like, faff that would surround, like the rehearsals he would have to have attended, and the fact that that then kind of ruins probably the whole day. Like, you're no longer watching the Super Bowl. You're, waiting to go on and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Are you going to agree? If you're Jay-Z, you're going to be like, you
We'll
want,
also run this town too.
yeah, I guess. But so what? You're going to have him do that for 7 lines, basically. In terms of how long he would
Yeah.
have been up there, and all it would have done was been for people to get excited. If like Jay-Z had floated down on a platform, people were like, "Oh my God, it's Jay-Z!"
Maybe that's why I didn't want to do it. He saw
scared
the
of
platform
heights.
idea and he was like, "Fuck that," because
That,
that would have been my reaction.
I mean, that is a possibility.
Yeah, that definitely would have been my reaction. But it was crazy to me that the opening song was "Bitch Better Have My Money." I thought for sure "Run This Town" was a great opener, but to come right out and do the "Bitch Better Have My Money," that was a bold move, and I should have seen that. Rihanna's bold. I should have went for the bold option. It was 13-1, I think.
Yeah, and she's smart, right? She managed to basically create an ad for her makeup company in the middle of her Super Bowl halftime performance, like that she can clip that and distribute that everywhere. And, so everything she did was smart. You can see why she's managed to become a billionaire. But it was a good show, but I don't think it's an all-time great Super Bowl show.
How old is Rihanna, Eddie?
I would say she's probably a similar age to us. I'd say she's like 35.
Yeah, she's 34.
Yeah.
Slightly younger than I thought.
In a way, yeah, because she has been around.
She got her start very young. That's why, because
Yeah.
she's been around. I just thought because she's been around for so long that she had to be a little older, but
Yeah.
she got her start very young.
Yeah, she's been around longer than you almost think sometimes when you look back at when, the years when those original hits came out. It's a 20-year career, so pretty much. So it's, and I like that too, because I do think you have to be kind of a more mature, sort of like senior elder statesman of the music industry to deserve getting like the Katy Perry Super Bowl halftime show. Whilst it was enjoyable, it just didn't feel to me like Katy Perry really deserves to have a halftime show.
Wow, you're gonna get shit for this one too.
But Rihanna does feel like she deserves. Like I think you have to kind of have that dynasty almost behind you as a musician to warrant getting that spot. And sometimes it feels like there are, some artists who get it where it's like, well, we're going to look back on this. Like Katy Perry is not going to age. She's going to stand out 20, 30 years from now when people look back on Super Bowl halftime performers. They're going to be like, wait, Katy Perry got a Super Bowl halftime show? Like, what she have? Like 2 albums that would kind of perform pretty well, and then she became a reality TV show like judge. Like, that's the career that got her a Super Bowl halftime show. Like,
Shots fired.
yeah, I know. All the Katy Perry fans and stans can come at me.
Yeah, so Pon de Replay was released in 2004. So you're looking at 18 years ago, her first big song.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I guess you weren't able to see the commercials due to, or most of them, I would say, probably.
No, I saw all the commercials.
Issues.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought there was music issues for hearing them.
So for a couple of the commercial breaks, yes, for reasons unknown, music was played over them in the bar. But I saw all the commercials, had the sound on for, I would say, 80% of them. I didn't think that any of the commercials were particular standouts. It didn't feel like a year, aside from the weird Jesus commercials. I didn't feel like there were any that really left a lasting impression on me. And I don't say that those Jesus commercials did not make me want to go to church today.
Yeah, there weren't many good ones. I have to say the Ben Affleck Dunkin' Donuts one actually wasn't too bad. They just played heavily into Ben Affleck being from Boston and using, being a Bostonian, and that kind of actually worked because it was a pretty short commercial. It wasn't super long, and he had some good jokes in there, so I thought that was a pretty good one. Did not like the Clueless one. I'm very tired of people 30 years later trying to look like they did 30 years ago and have it not look so great but kind of look good, but then when you look up close you're just like, holy shit, that looks terrible. I'm really sick of that. Can we just put an end to that? Alicia Silverstone doesn't have to look like she's still 18 30 years later. Like, it's weird, it's kind of awkward. So that kind of creeped me out a little bit. The Gronk one, I still don't fucking get what that was about. That FanDuel kick one, I don't get it. It was really weird. It wasn't good.
With Kay Adams, who was asking him, like in the press conference, asking him the question. That one.
Well, no, it was like he had to do the kick for $10 million live field goal or something, and Adam Vinatieri was his coach, and he missed it really badly. I didn't really get it, but yeah, not very many, like nothing really memorable at all, or
I feel like the bubble
bland.
I feel like the bubble
It's
may
gone.
have burst
It's over.
on the Super Bowl because I think there's a lot of companies now who just feel like it's not value for money. And I think maybe previously, right, the idea would have been it's like kind of a statement, having like you think differently about a company once they've had a Super Bowl halftime. Like it kind of proves you deserve to be there. The company that stood out from that respect to me a little bit was like Squarespace, who had the Adam Driver commercial, which was interesting. Although I mean, a lot of them, it's just like I don't know if this makes me want to use Squarespace. Like, I'm going to remember, I guess.
Michelob Ultra had a few.
Yeah.
But I tried to redo the Caddyshack.
I think if I were running a multi-billion-dollar company, and my marketing or ad team came to me and said, "Look, we can have a Super Bowl commercial," I think I'd probably say, I don't know. I don't think we need it. Like, I don't know how this is necessarily going to. There are certain types of companies or products where it could obviously impact their business, but for most people, like, are you going to buy Michelob Ultra because they had a Super Bowl halftime show? Like, does it make you think differently about them as a brand because they had even if it had been the coolest, like, show? I mean, maybe Budweiser, where they had that period where they had some good ones, maybe that made you more likely to buy a Bud. I don't know, but it still seems strange to me.
The worst one I saw was the Remy Martin, Serena Williams. She absolutely ruined Al Pacino's Any Given Sunday speech.
Unsurprisingly.
It really upset me. And I don't have an issue with Serena Williams, but that is a very iconic speech. And if you're going to at least do it, do it. It was as if she was reading cue cards. It was not good at all. And then when you put all together, I don't even understand what the hell the commercial was talking about. Like, they're promoting an alcohol, like, and there was like marching bands and like restaurants, and it was a dumb commercial, and it was done poorly. And you don't take something iconic like that and ruin it. If you're going to do it, you need to make sure it's done right. And it was not. That was a fail. Epic fail. Even like the Caddyshack Michelob Ultra, I kind of didn't like, because it's another, like, you're taking an iconic movie that everyone loves and they didn't do it any better. Like, there was some okay parts, but I think overall that was even kind of a fail. Like, it wasn't that funny.
Yeah. No, I did read an article, but like speaking about the ads in some respects, about the, like, quarterbacks, the like iconic line of saying, "What are you going to do now?" And it's like, "I'm going to Disney World." I did read an article about the history of that and how much they get paid. It's an annual offer from Disney that it's $75,000 and a free, all expenses paid trip to
the next day
to Disney World for you and
I think they have to go like the next day usually. I think I saw Patrick Mahomes is there already.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think it's whenever you want, really. I just think people do it. But yeah, it's I read an article all about the origin story of that, which was pretty interesting. And there's one example of some kind of advertising that comes through the Super Bowl that's actually worthwhile. Phil Simms was the first quarterback to ever say it, so he's got that on his CV.
Who's the first one?
Phil Simms was, yeah. So basically, it all came about because Iger, the CEO of Disney, was out to dinner. I can't remember who it was with. And it was like a couple who had just gone around the world. I think they'd done the first nonstop flight to circumnavigate the world, something like that. And he asked them, like, well, now that you've done that, what are you going to do? And the woman said, like, kind of, I think it was like semi jokingly or whatever, I'm going to go to Disney World. And then they kind of like laughed about it, but then thought, like, that's actually like a really great, like, what's next? I'm going to Disney World is a great like ad campaign. And so then he offered the two quarterbacks in that year's Super Bowl, he offered them each $75,000, like if they won, to say that. And ever since then, it's a standing offer of $75,000. And interestingly, it doesn't seem to have increased over time. So now I don't know why Patrick Mahomes particularly cares about getting $75,000. I mean, it's $75,000 for saying 4 words, so it's actually.
But then you have to go.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you don't. I don't know if you have to. From what I can understand from the offer, it's like $75,000 to say it, and then you also get thrown in the all expenses paid trip. But I don't know if you necessarily have.
Because I always see it, it's like it's always usually the day after. Like they're always there that next day.
I mean, I guess
it's kind of weird.
What else are you gonna do? And it's probably fun. Like, I mean, it's cool if
Sleep.
Yeah, it's probably cool to take you and all your family and friends on a fully comped trip to Disney. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I had no kids. I don't know if I'd necessarily want to do it, but I'd take the $75,000.
Well, he's got 2, so he's got 2 and a brother that's worse than a kid. So
his brother is TikToked all over Disney by now. But yeah, I guess that it wraps up the NFL season. I think it went. I know we had this discussion pretty much as the playoffs started. For me, it went really quickly, and now it's a long time. You kind of get to the end of the NFL season, you're like, oh, it's not till September we're going to get that again. It does feel like it's a long old break.
Well, Eddie, then you didn't watch the commercials well enough
for the USFL
because we're only several weeks away from football.
Yeah, no, I think I'll pass on the USFL. But I mean, I guess we'll next episode talk about the Last of Us. We're also not far away from Mandalorian season 3 of Mandalorian. Season 3, right? That's March 1st.
Ted Lasso soon.
So
Top Chef.
Yeah. Yeah. So at least the TV picks up. And The Last of Us, we'll discuss it in more detail, but I thought that was a great episode of The Last of Us.
Yeah. Let's save that for the next episode so we can dissect a little bit. But that I thought that was probably the best episode.
Probably. Have you recovered from the spoiler from the previous episode?
No, and in fact, I've gotten several messages from other people that are not happy. Let me put it that way. You have pissed off quite a good group of people.
Excellent.
Yeah, no, not good. Great job there on that one.
But who knows? Maybe it won't happen.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's just an epic spoiler. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, it's all out there, right? It's like trying to say you could have spoiled season 3 of Game of Thrones, right? Or like it's all there. The information's publicly available.
Yeah, but season 3 of Game of Thrones happened 7 years ago.
No, I know, but I mean, if it had been in the moment, like.
Yeah, but actually, I would argue that it wasn't, though. Like, there was several big spoiler type events that weren't spoiled.
They would have been if I had the podcast back then.
I'm sure they would have been.
Maybe I'll make that. I'll just spoil everything about The Last of Us. I'll go play the video game, and then just week by week. I think in episode 5 this will happen based on the gameplay I just had. Yeah. Hey, look, in the video game, what's the name of the little kid? Sam. In this episode,
he's not deaf.
He's not deaf, so
there you go.
Maybe he won't die. Like they're mixing everything up.
Yep, everything's changed. All right, yeah. So let's save that for next episode. I'll talk to you later.
See ya.
Cheerio.